All that remains now is to apply some textures and go make sure they're coming from the correct location, and then just go and save this out so you can share it with people that, you know, that are authorized. Speaking of surfaces, I think our surface is still called something a little bit adventurous. Let's go switch over to the geometry editor, and under tool settings, have a look here under surfaces. It's something's called wire. So I'm going to call that one rifle body. There we go. That means that if when we go over to the surfaces tab, we see the pulse rifle, and then we have the rifle body, and then we have our array properties here. That's perfect. I'll go back into selection mode here, and I've got my textures in literally one folder in my downloads directory and in the texture folder here. And while I could drag these in, that is really not a good place for them to be right now, because DAZ Studio is going to import them from something that it assumes is in an attached library. So for that, let's go and make sure we make a new library for this product, and then we're going to go and save the textures into that folder and then apply them from there, so that when you were to open this on a different installation of DAZ Studio, it knows where the textures are. They're all relative paths. So for that, I'm going to go and create myself a brand new folder on the desktop here, just so that we've got something that we can play with, and we'll call that one Pulse Rifle. And this is an empty directory that I'm going to have to go and map in DAZ Studio so that it can reference this. It'll become part of my normal library. So it is customary, if I go into here, to have a folder in here for textures. Usually it can literally be anywhere, but customary is that you have a folder called runtime, in which you have a folder called textures. This is from the old Poser days, really, in which you have a folder with your vendor name. So I'm just going to call me versus Lewis here, in which you then have another folder for the product name. So I'm going to call this one Pulse Rifle. And this is the location from which we want to apply the texture. So I'm going to go and grab mine out of here from the downloads folder and just go and paste them into here. And that means if I go and take this folder and drag the textures into my scene from here, as long as this is a mapped library here, DAZ Studio is going to be able to find it on any system. So on the content library tab here, let's go right click and say add base directory. And this is good for BSD as well, because it's another supporter of mine who wanted to know how to package products. So I thought, you know, this is actually a perfect interlude and just wrap it all up in one nice, neat little package. So I'm going to select this folder here, the Pulse Rifle. I'm just going to go and select that, and after a moment or so, DAZ Studio collapses everything. I open this, and then here's my Pulse Rifle folder. So this is good. This is where we're going to go and save our Pulse Rifle later under a props folder. But for now, I'm going to go and bring this textures folder up again. I'm going to go and put this on my other monitor. No, let me go and put this on here. Let me see if we can do it this way. We can do this. I just wanted to show you how to drag and drop things over here, so we can probably work with that. So on the surfaces tab, there's a few here that we're not gonna need, namely the ambient occlusion map. I don't think iRay supports that, but the others are supported. So let's go into our base channel here under diffuse. Let's use the base color map, left click and drag that over into here under base color, and now we've got something like this. This isn't bad, is it? That's not bad. The next one is the emission. That's down here. I'm not sure how high that's going to have to be, but it has to be something other than black with a map. I think this is for these little red bits here. We're going to have a look in iRay how much that needs to be. I like putting this onto watts and then start with something like maybe 100 watts. I don't even know if filament supports emission. We'll worry about it later. Then we have a metallic map. That goes back, that's under base here, the top above base color, that's metallicity. Let's go and left click and drag that into here. And remember, these textures don't come from my downloads folder, they're now coming from the new folder that I've made on the desktop, just to write that home. But metallicity and roughness have this habit that when you drag in a map, the map is in there, but the value is still 0. So you have to drag that onto 1, otherwise that map isn't going to be rendered. Normal map, that's under bump. Let's go left click and drag that into normal map. And this value you can increase if you like. If you want to have extra normal detail, just go and remove that limit here, or maybe make the max value something higher if you feel that is necessary. I'm just going to go leave it on 1. Opacity map, also a good idea. Geometry, cut out opacity, that's where we're going to put that. Left click and drag that over here. That makes, in filament, makes the rifle look a little bit transparent, only because the current implementation of filament can't handle these transparency maps very well, but I think it brings out the emission map in iRay quite nicely in a moment. And then last but not least, the roughness map. That's under base glossy, under glossy roughness. That's where we can go and put that in. Left click and drag that into here. Same thing here, we need to go and crank that value up so that the map is acknowledged. That is that. Let's go and switch this over into iRay quickly and see what it looks like. See if we can set up the emission map properly. Well, that's our rifle with exciting texture work on that. That's really cool. Look at all the surface detail. That's just pretty cool. I think oh, there we go. That's our emission map. Hard at work here. So yeah, set that as high or as low as you want. I've set it to 1,000 watts right now, but maybe 100 watts is actually fine. No, that's a bit dim, isn't it? So let's go with 1,000 watts. That's probably good here. That's our material setup. Let me go and save this again, and then we're going to go and save this out into our new library so that you can share it with other people.